Hi, I'm Dr. Jarrod Spencer, sports psychologist, and I'm honored to be your keynote speaker for the NAILBA Summer Symposium. Let's get right to our content for today. And as such, I'm going to be sharing with you a keynote presentation via PowerPoint. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, share my screen with you right now. It's an honor truly for me to be sharing this material with you. Thank you so much. Some of you may be saying, okay, Jarrod, who are you? What do you do? What's your background? Let me explain it to you in 1.5 minutes through this short little kickoff video. Let's take a look.
Jarrod Spencer is a sports psychologist and author of Mind of the Athlete and joins us now. Dr. Jarrod Spencer, a sports psychologist.
Dr. Jarrod Spencer, sports psychologist.
Let's go now to Dr. Jarrod Spencer.
Do you feel there's more pressure on athletes today?
Absolutely. They've got to do more to teach them how to manage the pressure cooker, not just expecting them to manage it.
Mind of the Athlete is a sports psychology company committed to improving the emotional health of athletes. What fills you up? What gives you energy? You're an elite level athlete, and it requires a level of commitment that most people in the world might not even understand. What is your motivation?
Hey, I'm Dr. Jarrod Spencer, sports psychologist, and your iFit guide. Let's go. I want you to be the emotionally healthiest version of yourself. I'm going to be teaching you really important and practical skills to be tools to put in your mental toolbox so that you can thrive emotionally throughout life.
Athletes are looking for that mental edge everywhere they can get it. I mean, they're sports psychologists and working on this stuff can have a tremendous positive impact. Consequently, it translates to academic and athletic success, and usually they're on the way. The central message of Mind of the Athlete is simply this: clearer mind, better performance.
Well, yes, I'm a sports psychologist, and I love teaching athletes about how the mind works best. I'm going to parlay all of that from the sports world over to the business world and teach you, a remarkable leader, how the mind of the leader works best. That's exactly our title for today, Mind of the Leader. And everything I'm going to do today is to really help improve your emotional health. I want to help you perform better in the specific leadership areas that you function every day. And I'm going to improve that performance by helping you be the emotionally healthier version of yourself. How are we going to do that? It goes back to that simple message: clearer mind, better performance. Say that with me: clearer mind, better performance. The clearer the 6 inches between your ears is, you know, and I know that you're a much better version of yourself. That's so important right now in our society today, because mental health concerns, especially coming through the pandemic, we're still in the pandemic, and the mental health concerns are rising like we've never seen before. So we've got to do more to understand, how do we recognize the emotional health concerns within ourselves, around us? How can you be the best version of yourself? Well, the key to being a better leader is being the emotionally healthiest version of yourself. Let me say that again: being the emotionally healthiest version of yourself. You may be in great physical shape, but how are you doing emotionally? Because your emotional health, that is what we need now more than ever, when an entire culture and society is struggling with mental health concerns. If you're the emotionally healthiest version of yourself, that's when you are going to thrive. So my point to you is, if you're not quite the emotionally healthiest version of yourself, then take better care of your mental health. Take better care of your emotions, because life is so emotional, and because it's so much, business is so emotional. You can't just keep going through with the suck it up, don't whine, don't complain. Remember this movie? Remember this one? What is it? Yes, A League of Their Own. And remember this famous line by Tom Hanks in this scene? What did he say? Yeah, there's no crying in baseball, right? Look, man, I'm part of that generation that grew up with the suck it up, don't whine, don't complain, don't express negative emotion. I get that. But in 2022, if that's your primary or your only way to deal with strong negative emotion. As a leader, you're really going to be limited in your ability to connect meaningfully with other people. We've got to take better care of our emotional health. So how can I best help you with that today? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to teach you how the mind works best. I'm going to explain to you a model for how the mind works best, because up until this point, you're having success. You're doing a great job. But let me ask you, I mean, has anyone ever taught you how the mind actually works? I mean, do you actually understand it? Because obviously you're having great success in so many areas of your life, and you understand the importance of the mind. But up until this point in time, somebody probably didn't really explain it to you, how you could be the emotionally healthiest version of yourself, how you can have a clear mind and better performance. So let me explain that to you now by asking you this question. Have you seen the movie Titanic? Of course you have. If you haven't, you're missing the all-time greatest movie in history. Maybe it's going to be beaten by Avatar 2. Actually, it was beaten by Avatar 1, and now maybe it's the second best. Maybe Avatar 2 might come up there again and knock it off. Here's the point. When the Titanic hit the iceberg, it didn't seem like it did a lot of damage, right? Where's most of the iceberg? Below the waterline. That's the same analogy for your mind. Your mind is like an iceberg floating in the ocean, and everything you see above the waterline is your conscious mind. You're consciously aware of the blue suit that I'm wearing, the Baby Yoda behind me, the sound of my voice. You're consciously aware of this stuff. But 90% of your mind is subconscious. And the waterline, well, that represents your psychological defenses, your skills and ability to block out what needs to be blocked out and stay focused on the task at hand. Let me tell you something. Your psychological defenses, well done, outstanding. When it's time to focus and block it out, you're amazing. But even the very best people need more defenses, because the subconscious mind, 90% of your mind, is much more complicated than you might realize. In fact, the subconscious mind is broken up into 3 very important layers. Allow me to explain. The bottommost layer is called the unconscious mind. It's that part of your mind where those red dots, those emotionally charged life experiences are stored. The unconscious mind is first 5 years of life, some significant traumas or dramas. The reality is you don't remember much from the first 5 years of life, do you? I mean, do you remember your 4th birthday party? I mean, you were there for it, right? But you don't remember it because it's stored down there in the unconscious mind. The next part of the mind is a term that I coined. It's called the ex-conscious mind. It refers to that part of your mind where outdated, less useful information is stored. For example, do you remember your 21st birthday? Yeah, it's coming up. It's one of those red dots, and as you think about it now, it's working its way through your pre-conscious mind. It'll break through your defenses, and all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, oh yeah, I remember that now, right? Who were you with? Where did you go? Was there any liquid refreshments involved? What was your experience like? And as that red dot comes up, it brings with it other red dots from that whole time in your life, and thus it hits your conscious mind and you say, wow, yeah, I haven't thought about it in quite a while until now. But you get the point. It's in the ex-conscious mind because that's not going to help you thrive today. You're not going to excel because of that knowledge and wisdom. And so the point is, things in the ex-conscious mind are emotionally resolved, and they're solved, and they're just processed and put away in a good spot. The key to your high performance is your pre-conscious mind. The pre-conscious mind's like the back burner of the stove. I mean, you might cook the chicken on the front burner, but on the back burner is where the rice is simmering. By definition, Sigmund Freud called it this: the place in your mind where memories are stored that easily can be recalled, but they're outside of your immediate awareness. Outside of your immediate awareness. Oh, you become aware of what's in the preconscious mind when you are listening to a keynote like you are right now with me. I mean, you're listening to me, but you're having a conversation with yourself the whole time, aren't you? I mean, you're thinking about all these random other things besides exactly what I'm trying to teach you, because all those random red dots are things in your preconscious mind. You become aware of them when you put your head on the pillow and you try to fall asleep at night. And now you really start thinking about what's in the preconscious mind. Or maybe you do some of your best thinking when you go out for a walk or out for a run by yourself, preconscious mind. Or in fact, have you ever been driving in your car, you get alone time, some think time, you get so deep in thought in what's going on in your preconscious mind that you actually miss your exit? I mean, that literally happened to me this summer. I was driving my car with the GPS on, and I still missed the exit because I was so deep in thought in my preconscious mind. Now, when the preconscious mind is clearer, it's never clear, it's clearer, you feel really good. Your mood is up, your productivity is up, you're a much better version of yourself. Your kids enjoy being with you. Your spouse, significant other enjoys their time with you because your communication skills are a bit clearer, your energy, you just radiate it, and it's positive and uplifting when the preconscious mind is clear. The trouble for you and me and most people in our culture, society today, the preconscious mind's flooded. And that's especially true for you as a leader, because one of the things that I'm seeing at this stage of the pandemic is that as some people start to feel better, leaders crash last. That time has no meaning in the preconscious mind. So all those red dots, they may have been 6 months ago or even 2 years ago, and they may be emotionally charged events from the pandemic. But the point is, it feels like it's right there for you. To illustrate this point that time has no meaning in the preconscious mind, I want you to think about somebody who maybe served in the military, maybe is even Vietnam years ago, but to them, it could feel like just a moment ago, and it's right there, unresolved, emotionally charged in the preconscious mind. And what we know for people that go through traumatic experiences, and the pandemic, yes, has been a very difficult traumatic experience for many people, is that there's a lot of unresolved, emotionally charged life experiences that have been in there, thus making everyone's life a little bit more flooded, and particularly for you as a leader, as you try to hear other people's hurts and their struggles and their fears. What ends up happening is that you internalize that a little bit. Your preconscious mind is flooded. Am I hitting on something here with you? I mean, do you resonate with what I'm saying to you right now? Privately, you might present well, but personally, that preconscious mind might be draining you of your precious emotional energy. There's a lot more going on in the preconscious mind for you and for people around you. I'm going to prove it to you right now with a little test. You saw me just inadvertently flick through that next slide. And in that slide, I'm going to give you a little basketball test. Now, if you've taken the test before, just go along with it. If you haven't, here we go. It's a 26-second basketball test. A team in white shirts is going to pass basketball to team in white shirts. Team in black shirts is going to pass basketball to team in black shirts. I want to see if you're good enough, sharp enough, perceptive enough to accurately count the number of passes by the team in white shirts only. Are you with me? 26 seconds, team in white shirts only. How many passes? Ready, set, go. How'd you do? At least 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, maybe 17. But did you see a gorilla beating its chest? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Jarrod, you're telling me there's a gorilla beating its chest in that video? I mean, I'm a great leader. You have no idea the pressure. If there was a gorilla, I would have seen, right? Well, let's watch the same video again. Here we go. Same video. One more time. There he is, walking through, beating his chest right in front of us all, and walks off. Man, don't worry if you missed it. I missed it too. And when I give keynote speeches, thousands of people I'll show this video to, nearly 90% of the people will miss this. They'll miss the gorilla. Why? Because all I have to do is sprinkle competition over you and say, let's see if you're good enough, sharp enough, right? And you're like, game on, man, I'm gonna get the number of passes. And we're so focused in our worlds today of focusing on the score, the outcome, the number, getting it right, winning, that we sometimes can miss something like a gorilla right in front of our face, beating its chest. That gorilla, that's the mental health concerns within you. Maybe your family members, maybe your teenage son or daughter, maybe the people that you're leading your company. The mental health stuff is right there, but we're missing it because we're so focused on our conversations on score, productivity, to-do lists. And we're not really saying ourselves in each other, like, how are you really doing? Like, when you really ask somebody what's going on, how are you really doing? You're really inviting them to share what's in the pre-conscious mind. And there's a lot more going on in your pre-conscious mind, in the pre-conscious mind of the people you're leading. All right, I know what you're thinking. All right, Jarrod, that's rolling good, but just tell me the number of passes, right? Did you say 15? You're wrong. 14, you are right. 14, and you saw the gorilla is the correct answer. So 14 doesn't get you bonus points, only 14 with the gorilla, and then you would have been successful. Did you get that one? Don't worry, if you like this video, check it out on YouTube. You can share with other people too. Okay. Under stress, we all regress. I don't care who you are, how much money you have, how famous you are, how many degrees after your name. None of that matters. I get to work with some of the most amazing people on the planet, and I'm telling you that under stress, we all regress. And when we regress, it can feel like our brain just doesn't even work, right? Here's my x-ray from a couple years ago. Oh, I know, I look like Homer Simpson, right? Well, the point here is that sometimes, I don't care who you are, it's like your brain just shrunk, man. It just feels like it's hard to make a decision or have emotional capacity, or that you've got the ability to have vision or resolve problems more effectively and efficiently. All that happens when we get stressed, we regress, and the pre-conscious mind gets so flooded. In fact, when it gets flooded, here's how it affects people the most. This is what I've seen. Just nod your head if you agree with this. Have you experienced some tossing and turning, trying to fall asleep, or in the middle of the night, can't go back to sleep? Yeah, that's insomnia from the flooded pre-conscious mind. Or anxiety. Anxiety attacks in particular are the result of a flooded pre-conscious mind. Now listen carefully. Anxiety is the fear of the unknown. I'm not in a psychobabble, keep it real simple. Anxiety is the fear of the unknown. And anxiety is so high because we just don't know what's going to happen moving forward in our worlds. Energy level, I mentioned it earlier, but emotional energy level is the key. Again, great physical shape, but how you doing emotionally? And when the pre-conscious mind is flooded, that's when we get emotionally tired, drained, fatigued. And that is one of the biggest problems I'm seeing. I mean, are you tired? Because it's probably low emotional energy. Number 4 is misguided tensions, and, you know, pick your poison, but we all have the vices that we step into when the pre-conscious mind gets flooded. So often we want to resolve that tension but we do so in a misguided way. Maybe it's overeating, or maybe you're looking to drugs or alcohol or other vices you might step into somehow, some way. Maybe you said something hurtful or maybe even inappropriate, and you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You said it, the damage is done. You release that hurt in a misguided way. And lastly, when the preconscious mind gets flooded, it's depression. Depression is hurt held inward. And when you hold emotional hurt in, when you suck it up, push through, bury it, that is going to lead you to either implode, which isn't very healthy, or explode, which usually causes even more problems. And then you got to clean up that mess. I don't want to see you imploding or exploding, having anxiety attacks, or be so tired emotionally, misguided tensions, or toss and turn in the middle of the night. All of that can be avoided if we can somehow find a way to get relief from the flooded preconscious mind. If you don't, you're going to break. And everyone breaks. I don't care who you are. Everyone breaks. Even our best soldiers can only be in harm's way for so long. We got to get them out of there, because when that preconscious mind gets flooded, it begins to really wear down on those psychological defenses. And those psychological defenses in you, I mean, you're good. I mean, you're really good. You've got great defenses. But can they hold up to the flooded preconscious mind for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 months of a pandemic? And the answer is no. I mean, privately, the answer is no. I mean, sometimes publicly you can put on the face and you can front like you got it all together. But the reality is the preconscious mind is wearing out your defenses very likely. And those defenses, they've been taxed and stressed for too long. And I know you know what I'm talking about. Some days you just feel like I just can't go on one more day living my life the way that I'm living. And then it happens. You break. You break emotionally. When you do break emotionally, here's a model for what's really going on. The psychological defenses can't hold back the things in the preconscious mind. So something comes up, you and your spouse have an argument over something so insignificant, but it turns out to be a big deal. Or maybe there's tension with a coworker and it turns into be something far more complicated and messy than it was ever intended to be. Things from the preconscious mind come up, and when the floodgates open, it begins to hook into your loaded issues. Now, you know, and I know that we all got some issues. I got loaded issues, man. We all do. And when those loaded issues get hooked into, they come up too. And when that does, we get emotionally charged, emotionally overreactive. You might say to yourself, I don't know why I'm so upset about this. It's because the floodgates are open and it's hooking into a lot of other stuff. What are common loaded issues? Well, tell me about how things are going with you and your in-laws. Tell me how things are going with money and finance. Tell me how things are going with losing, or how are things with illness and sickness, death. I mean, all these are really loaded issues. And so all kinds of really common things can stress us out and bring up our issues. And when this occurs for you, or maybe somebody you love, this is when your head's in the pillow and the tears are running down your face. And you just feel like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just so drained. I'm so tired. I don't have it in me. This is particularly what's happening with our youth in America, as they are struggling so much with mental health like we've never seen before. And it's happening for so many great leaders that I get to work with. When they barely keep it together, they get in their car. And as soon as they get in their car, the emotional breakdown occurs and the floodgate opens. And emotionally, they really are struggling. Are you relating to what I'm saying? Have you been there? Of course you have. And I'm saying to you, you're not alone. I'm saying to you, you're not alone. I've been there. We've all been there. and especially lately. And I don't want you to have that breakdown. In fact, I want you to do the opposite. I want you to find a way to like be emotionally stronger through this. Now, of course, this is where I got to lead this to link this with athletics, right? I mean, you're wondering like, hey, you're a sports psychologist and you're talking to us about business stuff. Yeah, okay, here's the deal. The essence of sports is this, break down your opponent physically, and he or she will break down mentally. So when I help teams and athletes, basically, two teams line up and they compete, and then somebody's in better shape, and then they score, they get a high, the other team gets a little bit of an emotional low. But listen carefully. In every athletic competition, there's a moment where you can sense and feel the other team break. It's like they don't want to cry out there, so they just kind of give up and give in. They take their foot off their gas, and essentially the game's over. They're playing, but the game's over. They broke. And so when I help athletes to succeed, we do so by making sure that they don't have this emotional breakdown before the people they're competing with. And we do that by keeping the preconscious mind clear and the psychological defenses stronger. And so I want you to win too. In whatever area that you're competing, if you have a clear preconscious mind, and now you know what that means, then your performance is going to be much better. And I just mentioned a moment ago, how do we do that? Two ways. When I meet with people here in my private practice, or virtually, most of it's on Zoom nowadays, the way we do that is we build up the psychological defenses and we clear the preconscious mind. When we build up the psychological defenses, that's really the skills and abilities to put tools in your mental toolbox. That's the outside in head knowledge, like read these books and learn the skills and have technique to better manage interpersonal tensions and complicated dynamics, for example. And if you can do that, the outside in head knowledge, the more you're listening to a great podcast, or maybe you're watching some YouTube videos or reading a great book, then suddenly your skills get much better. That's the outside in head knowledge. That's building your defenses. So I ask you directly, what book you reading? What podcast you listen to? What YouTube videos are you watching? And if you don't have some, you can read my books, or you could watch my videos. There's over 500 on YouTube. The point is, there's so many wonderful people on the path. Get on the path and keep building your defenses. But if you do that without the other half, it's not nearly as effective. And a lot of people may say, yeah, I'm actually really into this stuff. I really read a lot. I get the outside in head knowledge. Good. But the inside out part is the more complicated. That's the better part. To make the preconscious mind clearer, we have to experience catharsis. What's catharsis? Can you come up with a definition? I mean, just think of anything off the top of your head. Anyone? Yeah, come on, I'm an easy teacher. Here you go. The process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong or repressed emotion. You just can't keep burying it in the mind of a leader. It's got to come out in some way. Just let it flow and let it go, right? You know the movie? Yeah, Moana. Yeah, remember this great actor who played this character? Yep, Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock. The point is, sometimes you just got to be like him and just let it go. Just let it flow. And when we do that in a healthy way, obviously I'm biased to legally protected conversations with like a psychologist, for example, behind closed doors, that's where we really can take those things in the preconscious mind and process it. Let me explain to you this way. When somebody I connect with, and I'm like, and I say, how you really doing, man? I'm like, how do you really feel about that? It's an invitation to bring up something from the preconscious mind to the conscious mind. And then we work it through, we talk about it. And then it's like, all right, I emotionally diffused the bomb and I don't need to talk about it anymore. It's no longer a pressing issue. What just happened there? Well, that topic, that red dot from the conscious mind goes now to the ex-conscious mind. Here's an example. Maybe it's a holiday and you went with family to a gathering. You love your family, and like me, we've got great relationships with family members, but sure, they're complicated at times and it's confusing and messy. And sometimes you get in the car and you have to vents to your spouse and say, could you believe what so-and-so said or did? And until you actually vent about it, you don't really feel that great about it. But once you get off your chest and you receive some validation or some empathy or some encouragement or support, then it's like, all right, we don't have to talk about that anymore. Holidays can sometimes be like that. And my point is that you emotionally diffuse those bombs, you experience catharsis, and then it was emotionally solved and resolved, and it's sunk. And when you do that little by little, the preconscious mind actually comes clearer. But it takes work, hard work, like Dwayne did. You see, I'm standing recording this for you today. I'm standing in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where I live. And ironically, who grew up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, went to high school, Freedom High School? Yes. Dwayne, who we knew back in the day as I played high school football against him, as DJ. And DJ is one of the toughest guys I've ever met along my journey. And if he can say, it's okay not to be okay, and if he can say, you know, man, I wish I had somebody to talk to about my stuff, and if he can say how battling the hurt settled in where the depression is real, then hopefully this is validation for you as well to say, you know what, I can actually deal with this. I can talk to somebody about this. I can work this through. I can get validation, and I can get some help. And that's what I want for you. But don't take my words for it. Listen to this interview from DJ talking to Oprah about a time in his life when he really struggled with depression.
I found that with depression, one of the most important things you could realize is that you're not alone. You're not the first to go through it. You're not going to be the last to go through it. And oftentimes it happens. You feel like you're alone, and you feel like it's only you, and you're in your bubble. And I wish I had someone at that time who could just pull me aside and, hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So I wish I knew that. Just got to remember, hold on to that fundamental quality of faith. Have faith that on the other side of your pain is something good. After about a month and a half of staying in that little apartment and cleaning, I got a phone call from the head coach of the team who cut me, the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders. He called me and he said, hey, I know we cut you, but I'd like you to come back. I said, okay, I appreciate that, coach. Thank you very much. I'll think about it. He said, okay, great. I hung up the phone, and my dad said, you're going to do it, right? I said, no, I don't think so. I think I'm done with that. And he goes, what? I said, my gut tells me I'm done. He said, what are you going to do? I took a deep breath. I said, I'd like to get into the business. He said, what business? I said, the wrestling business. He says, you are throwing it all away. It is the worst mistake you will ever make. He said, you're ruining your career. He said, maybe I'll be no good. But I feel like in my heart, I have to do this. And I either need you to train me or need you to not train me. My dad rose to the occasion. Said, I'll train you. And it wound up being one of the greatest chapters in my life.
Man, I hope somebody can come alongside of you. Maybe you've got to reach out to somebody. Maybe reach out to a counselor, a psychologist, maybe a trusted friend, an advisor, somebody come alongside of you and say, hey, I'm going to help you through this. I mean, the old school way in sports is like, no, thanks, man. We're good. We're just going to work hard. It's like, how about work smarter, not harder? Put those wheels on that bad boy there, and those rocks are going to be so much better, right? And so what I'm saying to you is maybe it's time for you to think about managing that emotional stress in your life in a slightly different way. How do I know it's helpful? Well, I lived it. I mean, people often say to me, Jarrod, you're a sports psychologist. You help with these amazing people. Like, how did you even get on the path? Well, here's the story. I talk about it in my book, Mind of the Athlete. In this book, which really does break down a lot of like what I'm sharing with you today about the preconscious mind, I was a 16-year-old high school athlete sitting on my bed in my parents' home on Firth Street in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. The tears were rolling down my face and I was crying. My mom heard me crying. She poked her head in the bedroom. She said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm not." She said, "What's the matter?" And I said these words to my mom that I'll never forget. I said, "I don't want to die, but I don't want to live another day like this either." Her eyes got real big. She said, what are you talking about here? I said, "I'm not talking about harming myself, hurting myself. I'm not there. But what I am saying is I can't go one more day feeling the way that I feel. I can't take it anymore." You see, to the outside world, they thought I had it all together. I just captained my team to a state championship in wrestling, led my team to a conference championship in football, being recruited D1 in both sports. I had all A's and B's, the pretty girlfriend, the cool friend, supportive family. I was even the 4-time class president. But on the outside, that looked good. But on the inside, I was just a 16-year-old boy buckling under the pressure of every day having to perform at the highest levels and always be a great leader. I just needed a break. Have you ever felt like you needed a break? Have you ever felt like sometimes it's too much? Every day, going out there and leading. To my mom's credit, she heard my heart that day, and we made the necessary changes in my life immediately. First was I didn't go out for the track team. I was supposed to break the school's 800-meter record, but I didn't even want the record. Unfortunately, coaches and teammates were so upset that I didn't come out for the team that I actually got ostracized by many of them, shunned in the hallways, not talked to. That was my punishment for no longer competing and performing for other people, right? Sick, twisted, isn't it? But the reality was, like, I was expected to always perform. I just needed a mental health break, and I got it. And during that spring, little by little, I started learning about how the mind actually works. I started clearing out my preconscious mind. I started talking about all those emotionally charged things that were in there. I started building my psychological defenses. And little by little, incident by incident, that preconscious mind got a little bit clearer. And my confidence grew as I finally had some skills to actually manage the pressure cooker that I found myself in. And eventually, by the time August came around in my senior year of high school, my preconscious mind was clearer. Again, not clear, but clearer, much clearer than what it was. And I was ready to get after it. I was ready to thrive. And that's what I want for you. You see, when you live a lifestyle of really working on your mind just as much as working on your body, and you get the preconscious mind clearer, all that good stuff, it was inside of me. It's still inside of you. All that love and creativity, the intelligence, it's like all in your subconscious mind. It just gets buried when the preconscious mind gets flooded. It blocks it from flowing. I mean, you want to say to that person, "I love you," but the "I love yous" don't come out as quick. You want to be funny with your family members, but it doesn't quite roll off your tongue as quick as it maybe would if your preconscious mind was clear. I mean, sometimes you after vacation is really good to you because you're actually fun on your vacation and you're more patient on your vacation. You see, the psychological defenses kind of work like a permeable membrane. When, remember permeable membrane from school allows things to pass freely back and forth through a cell. When the preconscious mind is clearer, those defenses relax. And when they relax, like stuff can flow back and forth. That's when you're thriving. You're the best version of yourself. You're the emotionally healthiest version of yourself. You've got intelligence. You're solving problems with ideas that came to you from like 20 years ago. It just comes up in a millisecond, right? You're quoting that old, stupid, funny movie, but at that right moment, it got everybody laughing. But you see, when the psychological defense is locked down, it's almost like when you were in school. Remember when you took that exam and you knew that the stuff went in your preconscious mind when you studied, but you just couldn't regurgitate it on the exam because the defenses were locked down. But after the exam, you're walking back to your dorm and you're like, oh man, now I remember what happened there. See, the defenses relaxed a little bit and then the material came back up. When you're literally living your life as a leader using all your mind, not 10%, just your conscious mind. When the defenses are relaxed, you're using all your mind. That's when you are crushing it. That's when you're thriving. That's when you're excelling. That's what I want for you when you really work on keeping that pre-conscious mind clearer. Hence our slogan for today, clearer mind, better performance. You apply that concept to your life from this moment forward, and you will be in a much better emotional, you'll be in a much better emotional place. You'll be the emotionally healthier version of yourself. And that's what I want for you. Get your better performance by being emotionally healthier. We need you now more than ever as a leader to take care of your own mental health so you can help other people take care of theirs. And so hopefully today, through our time together, you now know how the mind of the leader actually works best. Man, I love being part of this amazing conference with you guys today, the symposium, the summer symposium. And I'm hoping that you'll continue to go down this path of learning about the mind. And of course, there are other great speakers and opportunities for you. Take full advantage of those opportunities and get on the path, stay on the path of learning more and more about how the mind works best. Of course, if you want to connect with me, Instagram's the best way, Dr. Jarrod Spencer, and you can check me out there for more information. I love sharing this stuff with you guys. I'm going to hop off here with this PowerPoint and say one final goodbye. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wish you all the best along your journey. Take care.